In this video, we will be learning how to play Uno House Rules. The game is similar to the original Uno with some major differences when we look at some of the number cards. Let's get started. First, take the cards and shuffle them up to make sure everybody gets completely random cards. Then, deal 7 cards to each player. After all cards have been dealt, flip the top card of the draw pile to create the discard pile. If this card is an action card such as reverse, skip, wild, draw 2, or anything that isn't a number, keep flipping cards from the top of the draw pile until you get a number card. This is the card that players will start on. The player to the left of the dealer goes first, and play continues in clockwise order. But before we get into the rest of the tutorial, if you don't already own Uno House Rules and you'd like to get the game, consider using the affiliate link that should be popping up on screen right now. Whenever you buy a product through one of my affiliate links, it gives me a small commission and you get the game and or item you're looking for. So it would support me and you would get what you want. So I would highly appreciate it. Anyways, let's get back to the tutorial. The goal of the game is to get rid of all of the cards in your hand before every other player does. To play a card onto the discard pile, you have to have a card that either matches in color or symbol. In this case, this red 5 matches the red on this 2, but the 2 does not match the 5. Regardless, I can play the 2 onto the 5. That ends my turn, and then it is the next player's turn. If you do not have any cards that play onto the discard pile, you must draw a card. If that card can play, you can play it onto the discard pile immediately. This blue 6 does not match either 2 or red, so I cannot play it. I put it into my hand and lose my turn. If you cannot play and you draw a card, and that card can be played onto the discard pile, you may play it immediately. You may also choose to draw a card even if you already have cards that can play. If you play a card and that results in you having one card in hand, you must yell Uno. If you don't, and another player catches you, they can challenge you and you have to draw 2 cards. So never forget to yell Uno when you have one card in hand. Let's now talk about the action cards in this game. First of all is your action cards that are the same as in regular Uno. Playing a skip skips the next player's turn. They do not have to draw a card or do any other actions, they just lose their turn and it goes to the next player after the skip player. Draw 2 forces the next player to draw 2 cards. They also lose their turn. The reverse card flips the order of play. Say that I play the reverse card, instead of the player who would usually go next playing next, the player who played before me then goes next. Order of play is then reversed until another reverse is played onto the discard pile. A wild card can be played onto the discard pile at any time. Whenever you play this card, you get to change the color that's on top of the discard pile. Say I wanted to change this from blue to red, I would play the wild card, and I would say red. The discard pile is now red, and the game continues as normal. And lastly, we have the Wild Draw 4 card. This card does the same thing as the Wild card. You can change the color on top of the discard pile. Say I wanted it to be something other than red, and I change it to green, I can say green, and the discard pile is now green. This also forces the next player to draw 4 cards, and they lose their turn. Let's now talk about the new cards, and there's 2 main ones that we're going to talk about. The first and biggest change to this game is these number cards from 1 to 5 that have a little speech bubble on them. These are rule changer cards. Before the game begins, there are 5 blank rule spots, and whenever you play one of these cards, you can add a rule to number 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, depending on which one of these you play down. For example, if I were to play this 2 with a speech bubble on it, I get to add a rule to the number 2 slot. How these cards work is whenever a 2 is played, whether that's one of these speech bubble 2s or a regular 2, everyone has to do the rule. The last person to do the rule has to draw a card. For example, if I were to play this 2 down and say whenever somebody plays a 2, you must clap, the last person to clap has to draw a card. This is the same for 1, 3, 4, and 5. They all have speech bubble variants, and if they do not already have a rule, you can add a rule to slot number 5, or slot number 3, or slot number 1, or slot number 4. The last new card in this game is the Wild Game Changer. It serves the same purpose as a wild card. You may change the color on the discard pile, say from red to blue, but you also get to change one of the established rules. Let's say I want to change rule number 2. Previously, it was whenever a 2 is played, everyone must clap. Let's say I changed it to whenever a 2 is played, everyone must jump out of their chair. That would be the rule that has changed. Not only do I get to change the number on the discard pile, I get to change a whole rule. So now, whenever a 2 is played, instead of having to clap, everybody now has to jump out of their chair, and the last person to jump out of their chair has to draw a card. And that's the entire tutorial. Thank you for watching, and if you don't already have Uno House Rules and would like to purchase it, consider using the affiliate link that I've linked in this video. It gives me a small commission, and you get the game that you want, so it would support me, and you get the game that you want. So I would appreciate it.